And welcome to the virtual CISO moment. As you may know, I recorded a few episodes, a few conversations at the recent Middle Tennessee ISACA conference back in March of 2025. This is the fourth conversation from that conference. This is with Darin McCloy. He is the VP of Security and Compliance at PolicyCo. Again, it's a shorter episode than our usual ones, but filled with great information, and I hope you enjoy it. Here at the Middle Tennessee ISACA conference with Darin McCloy. Darin, thank you so much for stopping by and taking a few minutes from the conference to chat with me.
Well, it's my pleasure. I saw your name and I thought I need to take advantage of this.
Well, I'm glad you didn't see my name and hit me. So.
No. It was, chance to speak with Greg. He'll sit still for a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I'm always moving around. It seems like. So just tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do right now, and how you got into it? What you're doing in information security?
I am a chief information security officer or senior level security advisor. Mm-hmm. I've been a CISO for a few companies. I'm also a virtual CISO for hire, consulted on various projects over the last 10 years or so since leaving my first big CISO job, and got into that from years in the military. 20 years as a communicator, which is IT telecom, and IP, which it became, and that goes along with cyber threats, and picked that up and did a lot of that while I was in active duty, and did some of that as a contractor for the Defense Department after retiring, and then came back here. And someone asked me, "Hey, can you be a CISO?" I was like, "Sure." How do you spell
that? What branch?
It's the Marine Corps.
Marine Corps. Yeah. And thank you for your service, first of all. And I love asking folks that have transitioned from the military to information security. Did you bring anything what's like one of the biggest things that you can say that you brought from your military experience that is helping you in information security today?
I think it's probably even a bullet in my resume, summary, is a calm presence during times of chaos.
Okay.
Think, no one's shooting, so it can't be that bad. We'll figure this out. Just everybody calm down. Let's figure this out. Do this, incident response, etc. Risk, measuring or evaluating, comparing risk. I feel like, military a lot of times can bring a calm presence to this to say, okay, this is hard, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, we often hear folks comparing the stuff that they're doing in cybersecurity to combat the bad guys out there, that it's war, and it's not really war.
It's not really war, but it is a very serious competition. That has impact on our lives.
Yes, I think a competition is probably a very good word there, because they're both competing for resources. The bad guys are trying to get yours.
Yeah, I mean, in war is a competition at its ultimate level, but so it is an intense competition with an adversary that, just as I forget your time in the service, but as the Cold War ended and the wall fell, we thought, oh, we don't have this big.
We thought that was it. It was it's like 1990, 91, whatever. It was like, hey, everybody's going to be singing Kumbaya. It didn't quite work out.
It didn't work out that way, and it made it even harder to know, who's after your stuff.
And there are a lot of people and a lot of bad threat actors after people's stuff. And in particular, I like to focus on the small and mid-sized business space. And I know you work in that space as well with some of your clients. Today, what would you say is the most significant threat to information security to those SMBs?
I mean, ransomware still got to be the primary threat.
Because
it can have such devastating consequence. And it's, can put small businesses out of business. Now, small businesses are a lot of times less of a target than large businesses because they have less resources. But, there's a lot of, bots out there going around doing things, and people are using automated tools to find ransomware targets and create victims out of that.
But now a small business could be used as a jumping point to hit a bigger business, right?
Absolutely.
So a small business shouldn't necessarily think it's I'm too small.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that ransomware is not a threat, but they may have some solace that okay, maybe I'm not as much of a target, but that doesn't mean they can't do anything about it, because it could be the thing that ends the business.
What can they do about it?
Well, it's the general hygiene, cyber hygiene. Yeah, it's small business, and that's the trick, and that's kind of why I enjoy consulting for small and medium businesses. Is try to get in early to give them a sense. It's about calming their fears, but also kind of giving them some things that they can actually work with. Clarity. I've stood up a shingle and called it Clarity Cyber Insurance. And that was after doing a heat map of all the words associated with things that I had heard from companies and executives. They just like, hey, we hear all the fear mongering, we hear all the, the breaches that happen and all the ransomware attacks, but what do we do? It's just all this noise. I just want someone to help me figure out some things that we can do that move the needle forward. So that's again, hygiene, doing your basic things, inventories, the SANS top 10, which are now, I guess, top 18, whatever it is.
I lose count sometimes. Yeah. But well, and to that point, I know you and I have known each other for many, many years. And I don't know about you, but one thing that I kind of get a little discouraged about sometimes is that although the words change and sometimes the presentations change and the people certainly change, it doesn't seem like that the threats have changed much. I mean, different types of threats, but you could spool back 15 years ago and we're talking almost about the same things, maybe just in different details here and there. Yeah.
I mean, they're using, our businesses are becoming more vulnerable in a way because we continue to bring data and automation into more and more parts of a business because you can't not and be competitive. And the adversary is doing the same. They're using the same tools, a lot of the same technologies, maybe some new tools that we haven't heard about yet, but we're all playing with the same box of weapons. So
I like that. I like that. Well, this is the first conference now that the Middle Tennessee ISACA chapter has done. As far as I think that's correct, right?
I'm not an expert on that.
I
couldn't.
I'm not either, but I believe so. I know that this particular one, this is the first iteration. Are you enjoying it so far?
I am.
What's one of the things that you hope to get out of this conference?
Any conference, any event like this, the main thing I get out of is the networking.
Uh-huh.
It's catching up with people I haven't seen or had a chance to speak with in a while, meeting new people. I always cruise around the vendor room, just to different tables to see, okay, who's here, what do they have? If they're companies I've known for a while, okay, what's their new product? Because they got to have something new, and then new names, to find out, okay, what is it? What do you do? And I come across some pretty interesting, things. I haven't had the time yet to go through that room today, but there's a couple I definitely want to go talk to you. But again, the networking is the primary thing. I'm always getting some tidbits. I wrote down a nice quote from, is it Jim from Assurian? The whole thing about, the people in the company are, the product people are, he didn't name a group, but he said they're wanting to run downhill barefoot with scissors. And so we got to get out there and get ahead of them to keep them from hurting themselves.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I have spent maybe about 15 minutes in the general session. And I think I caught that because I think he was saying something along the lines of, he'll catch him and he'll be at the bottom of the hill with paramedics and other medical supplies. That stuck with me as well, too.
That's when he circled back around to that toward the end of his that panel. But yeah, you mentioned it earlier on and say, okay, you got to keep up with it. They're using AI, they're using all these tools, people developing products and things like that. They're wanting to run forward and barefoot downhill with scissors.
Do you ever get discouraged?
Oh, yeah.
I thought maybe I was alone.
All the time. I mean, when I came back from Europe, I'd done that defense contracting job where I ended up with as infrastructure program manager at first, and then had to build a SOC, hire the team, manage the SOC. And when I came back from that, I kind of looked into, can I get into logistics or something? Because it was just, being over there and having the clearance and seeing the threats, much deeper level than a lot of people get a chance to see. It's like, I'm not sure this is what I'm cut out for, but, and then I realized, I'm not going to get paid as much. And it's not going to be as exciting to do, logistics or something like that. So I've, haven't looked back since.
I think the turning point for me for information security was when I came to the realization that you can't secure everything. I mean, I used to come from the perspective of like, I want to fix everything, but I can't, and I know that. So
yeah, that's Yeah, you may have missed it. Jim, he said he had a board member at one point that asked him point blank in a board of directors meeting, said, "Are we secure?" And it's like, no. Like, of course. I'd love it if the executive team, the board of directors would ask that question, because I want to be able to say it out loud. It's kind of hard to put it in a slide to say we are not secure.
You can't. I mean, that's a very. You can't answer that question by saying yes, you are secure. I actually did that once, but it was a rush situation, and I retracted.
Felt the pressure.
But it's impossible because it's like there's no way to ever be completely secure.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Really appreciate you taking a few moments to chat with me.
Well, thank you. Appreciate the time.
All right.